It's taken more than 60 years for artificial intelligence to turn into an overnight sensation. Now, you can't blink without reading about generative AI and all the changes it's unleashing on digital marketing. But how do you sort through the hype, develop new workflows, and select tools that make sense for your company's goals? That's what we're covering in this course. I'll start by explaining what AI is and does. I'll show you how to harness generative AI to spark creative ideas and boost your team's productivity. Hi, I'm Martin Waxman, a digital marketing strategist and AI researcher. Join me on a fantastic journey to demystify marketing with generative AI. For some people, the thought of artificial intelligence conjures up images of killer robots trying to take over the world like they do in the famous James Cameron movie, Terminator 2. But the AI we have today is far from that. Let's take a look at 3 different types of artificial intelligence to give you a better idea of what each one does. First, we have narrow artificial intelligence, or narrow AI. Narrow AI is when a machine is designed to do one task better than a human ever could, and it's what we have now. This includes digital assistants, algorithmic feeds on social media, and generative AI. Narrow AI needs to be trained on a lot of data in order to spot patterns and make statistical predictions. But it can't transfer its knowledge to another task. When an AI is able to transfer its know-how to something new, similar to what humans can do, that's called general artificial intelligence. General AI is what we're most familiar with from science fiction books, movies, and TV, like the operating system voiced by Scarlett Johansson in the movie Her, or R2-D2 or C-3PO from Star Wars. These days, a lot of companies like Microsoft, Google, Meta, and OpenAI are putting billions of dollars into research that will lead to general AI. But we're not there yet, and there's no consensus about when we will be. On the farthest end of the spectrum is something called superintelligence, and even its name sounds scary. Superintelligence, which is sometimes referred to as a singularity, is when the intelligence of machines eclipses the collective intelligence of humanity. No one knows when or if superintelligence will ever happen, but that's why it's important to develop guidelines and regulations that always put people first. Right now, the current focus is getting a handle on narrow AI, what it does, its limitations, and how it can help you achieve your business goals. Perhaps you're using it to supplement your creative department with an AI writing or design app. Maybe it's helping you customize your digital ads in real time, or you could be looking for trends from your analytics data to get insights on customer behavior. Just remember, narrow AI is all about statistical predictions and data, so be sure you have a plan in place to safely collect, manage, and protect your data. Before we dive into the AI tools and how you might use them for your brand, it's a good idea to understand some key AI concepts. Let's look at 4: natural language processing, or NLP, computer vision, multimodal learning, and generative AI. I'm going to start with generative AI since it's a term you've been hearing about a lot. Generative AI describes what happens when a machine is able to produce something original based on a written request. A simple way to think of it is prompt to create. You describe what you want, and the AI brings it to life. How does it do that? Well, generative AI uses natural language processing, or NLP, to, in quotations, understand the connection between words so it can predict what might come next. You see, in order to provide a human-sounding output, NLP needs to be trained on vast amounts of data. And that's where large language models, or LLMs, come in. LLMs read or process data from websites, digital books, social media posts, blogs, media outlets, Wikipedia, and many other public sources of online text. Once an NLP has been trained, it can use its knowledge to offer a good guess of what may come next in a sentence or paragraph and craft a verbal response that makes sense to you and me. In the same way that NLP lets a machine understand words, computer vision is all about the way an AI sees the world, and it does that in a very different way from people. When you see a chair, it doesn't matter if it's upholstered, made of wood, or even upside down. You know it's a chair. Machines need to be trained on many different images of chairs of all shapes and sizes in order to distinguish them, because they don't possess the reasoning abilities we have, and that can lead to AI mistakes. Until recently, NLP and computer vision operated as separate domains, but breakthroughs in multimodal learning let machines combine several data types to produce creative results. Now that paved the way for text-to-image design and will soon alter how you create videos, music, synthetic voices, 3D scenes, and a lot more. Ultimately, it all comes down to the quality of your prompt and expressing what you want in language a machine can grasp, which is why prompt engineering is a good skill for marketers to have. As I've mentioned before, artificial intelligence is all about predictions, and in many cases, they're getting really good. But AI doesn't have intuition and can't read your mind. So, to get what you want, you have to prepare detailed instructions a machine understands. That's called prompt engineering, and it's becoming a new marketing skill. Prompt engineering is the strategic use of language as the input that lets the AI know the parameters for the creative output you want to see. In many ways, it's a lot like coding, except the symbols you're using are words. While your colleagues at work might be able to fill in the blanks when you ask them to do something, generative AI can only respond to what's included in your prompt. That's why you want to make sure you're descriptive and specific by specifying details like length and format, tone, the audience you're trying to reach, and whose perspective it's from. If you want your output to have bullet points or headers, say it. The same goes for image generation. You need to paint a picture in words of the image you envision in your mind. As you can imagine, there's a lot of trial and error involved in prompt engineering, and you'll need to figure out how to become almost an AI whisperer to the machine. I encourage you to check out Dave Burse's great course on LinkedIn that teaches you how to craft an effective writing or research prompt and gives you lots of examples. Ultimately, you and your team will need to test any new generative AI tool you're using to see how it responds to your prompts. And it's a good idea to approach this in a scientific manner. Record and assess what works to determine which types of prompts give you better results. Then adapt and develop best practices of your own. As with any skill, the more time you spend prompting your AI tool, the better you'll become. You know those times when you're racing against a deadline and you've got to come up with some copy fast, but the blank screen is staring you down and you wonder how you're ever going to get it done. Well, this could be a job for generative AI. Just enter your prompt and presto, your superhero copy is ready in a flash. Well, not quite. Before you enter your prompt, you'll need to know what you want, and that starts with your objective and your content type. Are you creating ad copy, a blog post, Instagram captions, ideas for a headline? Whose perspective are you writing it from? Which platforms are you using to promote it? And what tone do you want to convey? Once you get your first output, review it closely and make sure it's accurate. Are you certain everything's grounded in truth and not simply made up? That's where your expert fact-checking skills come in. Then, review it for intent. Does a copy inspire your customers to take action, or Is it a bit generic and dull? Or worse, offensive or overly biased? If it doesn't meet your standards, you'll need to adjust or refine your prompt. Let's see how a brand can put AI writing in a prompt. Let's see how a brand can put, if it doesn't meet your standards, you'll need to adjust or refine your prompt. Let's see how a brand can put AI writing into action. Audrey Topsy is the founder of artisanal bakery Topsy Turvy. Their visuals are amazing, but they don't have the resources they need to write all the content they want to produce. Audrey, would you and your team ever think of using generative AI to help you with creative captions for photos and videos on Instagram?
We haven't, but I'd be open to trying it. How would I get started?
First, think of a prompt to describe a photo you're about to share. And remember, be specific and mention it's for Instagram.
Okay. Describe the rivalry between a lemon vanilla cupcake and ice sugar cookies in a lighthearted and funny way for posts that could be used on Instagram and that targets women between 18 and 34.
Great. Let's input that. Now, you wait a second. So what do you think?
That's pretty good. Now, I'm worried I'm going to be spending even more time on Instagram than I already do.
There are many AI writing generators you can use, and we've listed some helpful tools in the exercise files. Just be sure to test them out before you make your final selection and ask the vendor about safety and how they protect your proprietary data so your competitors can't find out your trade secrets. Don't think of AI as a copywriting replacement. It's more like an always-on assistant, one that has some good ideas, but also spews out a lot of junk. It's your job to find those diamonds in the rough and then use your talents to edit and polish them till your copy shines. I've always considered myself a writer first, and that's sometimes been a challenge in the digital world where visual storytelling and writing go hand in hand, which could explain why there's so much excitement about text-to-image apps. Because they let you use words to describe the visuals you imagine, and in seconds, you see a finished result. Sometimes the images are really good. Other times, they're just silly or weird. And in many cases, the quality depends on, you guessed it, your prompt. That's why it's a good idea to get your designers involved in the process early, as they'll be able to help you focus your prompt and fine-tune the raw output into concepts you can use for your brand. Similar to AI writing, be sure your prompt clearly describes the pictures you see in your head. Mention the format you're looking for and if you envision a particular color palette or artistic style. And always be prepared to tweak your prompt. Pay attention to the ones that give you the best results and the elements that they have in common. There are many tools to choose from, and they range from free to paid and include DALL-E 2, Stable Diffusion, and Midjourney. Even the design app Canva and Adobe have a generative AI feature. And Tome, a startup, integrates natural language processing and computer vision to speed up the creation of presentations and slides. Let's see an example of how a brand can put AI imagery into action. Leslie Richardson is a marketing director for Land Inn Hotels, a boutique hotel chain that prides itself on outstanding customer service. They're planning to open a lavish but budget-friendly resort in Italy, and we're looking for inspiration for the decor.
Of course, we worked with a design agency, but before we briefed them, we wanted to see how our team visualized the idea of affordable luxury. One of our copywriters had been playing with the text to image generators, so we had them lead a brainstorming session where we took turns describing our vision for the resort and then printed out all the AI outputs and put them on the wall.
What were some of the prompts that you used?
Well, one that worked well was a young couple on a romantic getaway, seated in a room on two colorful chairs with geometric designs. Between them is a small antique wooden table. Behind the table is an arrangement of flowers. We only see their backs as they're facing a window that overlooks the Mediterranean.
Well, let's see how that might look. A young couple, paste the rest in, and then what we can do is watch while the magic happens. So, were you pleased with what you got?
Let's say it opened our eyes. Some of the images were just awful, way off the mark, but a few of them, like this one, gave us an idea we eventually shared with our designers.
Landon Hotels use text-to-image AI as inspiration, but you can create visuals for ads, blog posts, email newsletters, or even stories on social media. When it comes to text-to-image design, the sky's the limit. Actually, you can go way beyond that as long as you maintain the visual standards and guidelines of your brand. Lights, camera, AI? Video production has always been a complex and labor-intensive task because you needed a script, actors, directors, cinematographers, audio engineers, editors, musicians, and, of course, a great story. Social media and mobile tech simplified the process, and now, like so many other areas of marketing, it's being transformed by generative AI. Let's begin at the idea stage. You can prompt AI to create a script that your team can then revise, ask it to develop characters and their backstories, use a text-to-image generator to come up with some cool ideas for sets and decor. You can paste your script into a video creation app like Lumen 5, upload images, and the AI will create a motion capture video with text, your images, some stock images mixed in, and music right from the site. You can see a demo of how easy to use Lumen 5 is in my Digital Marketing Trends course. Soon, you'll be able to describe the action you want to see in a scene, and AI will generate the video for you with an AI-created avatar whose perfectly synthesized voice brings your brand to life. Prompt-based video editing will speed up process and let you quickly add effects. Generative AI will also compose the musical soundtrack for your video. Just tell it the genre, tempo, arrangement, and length, and you'll be humming the tune in no time. Arrangement and length, and you'll be humming the tune in no time. Of course, not all these features are available now, but they will be soon, and you can see how they'll streamline the process. But one thing won't change: the need for a memorable story that keeps your customers glued to the screen. It's hard to ignore the hype around all the new AI writing and design apps, but that's just the tip of the AI iceberg. Soon, you'll have even more tools to help optimize your marketing role. Let's check out the landscape in the not-so-distant future. For starters, your customer service chatbot will listen, nod, smile, solve problems, and respond to questions using a synthetic voice. Marketers will be able to code it using natural language prompts and no-code apps that let you imagine a conversational flow. Just remember to build in a process to seamlessly hand over an interaction to a human if the AI can't handle a request. Speaking of customer service, generative AI is being integrated into your customer relationship management platform and will help you personalize, organize, and manage your email campaigns. And it will be able to summarize your emails and craft responses and marketing messages and reduce the time you spend managing your inbox. Generative AI will let you set up and manage projects with a prompt and provide reminders and tracking to ensure your team meets your deadlines. Need to create a budget? Just tell an AI budget app your goals and parameters, and it will prepare your spreadsheet effortlessly and provide reports on where you are with your spend. Major platforms like Google and Meta already offer you AI ad optimization. But imagine how easy it will be if you just have to input your idea, audience, budget, and channels, and the AI will create and place your ad for maximum ROI. And of course, you'll have your own personal AI assistant to keep track of your day, schedule appointments, and assist you with research, relationship management, and creativity. This is just the beginning. And while it may feel a bit like science fiction, it's more like the new reality of marketing today. Let's fast forward a few years to a time when immersive technologies like augmented and mixed reality and the metaverse are in full swing. What part will generative AI play? Well, you can bet artificial intelligence will feature prominently in many immersive apps to ensure the digital assets appear where and when they're supposed to, and generative AI could become the superhero tool that lets you dream, create, iterate, and bring visual scenes to life right before your eyes. For instance, what if you wanted to take your customers to a pristine beach or a breathtaking view of the desert? Well, generative AI tools will let you describe your vision and create it instantly. And you'll be able to fix or refine it by changing your prompt and insert your brand into the surroundings in a subtle and surprising way. Take a look at this image and see if you can spot H plus sport. Suppose you're the marketing lead for a museum or a tourist board. Maybe you want to make it easier for people who visit your attraction to find out more info when they're standing in front of a painting or a historical site. Just prompt the AI to create a short description of the site, a bit of extra context, and an image to go along with it, and geolocate that to the object or place. Then, if a person wants to find out more, they could put on their AR glasses and the information would pop up in front of them in the language of their choice. How about a brand like Two Trees Olive Oil? They've grown well beyond their family business roots and have olive groves all over the world. Say they want to celebrate their growers who produce the finest EVOO, but timing and logistics make that impossible to happen in real life. Instead, they can create a metaverse space to connect the groves virtually, which lets their customers wander from one to the other, talk to the growers, and even place orders, all in real time. Generative AI will help you build memorable 3D experiences in the metaverse, in AR, and in mixed reality. Generative AI, like any technology, comes with benefits and risks, and you need to assess and manage the good and the bad before adding AI to your marketing mix. Let's start with the data used to train the algorithm. If it spouts racist or toxic content, what are the implications for your brand? What about the proprietary company data you enter? What guarantees do you have that it won't be used to train the machine and that it won't end up in your competitors' hands? Bias is another concern, and it comes in many forms. It could be the bias in data that hasn't been trained on a diverse set of examples and adversely affects a person's life. Or it could be the bias built into the algorithm itself. You'll want to figure out how to reduce and mitigate biases, or you could risk making the wrong decision and harming your customers or your brand. Some other issues to consider are privacy, including protecting your data as well as the data your customers and staff share with you. Then there's transparency and the way you'll disclose how you're using AI. Explainability is another thing to consider, or communicating why a machine made the decision it did if a customer is unhappy with the outcome or just wants to know. Then there's the issue of copyright and ownership, especially if your creative work resembles an artist or a designer. And because generative AI tends to make things up, you'll want to set up guardrails to ensure your content is factual and you don't spread misinformation or lies. That's why it's essential to develop enterprise-wide policies to frame the ways you'll be using AI. Bring your company's legal, data science, IT, finance, operations, marketing, and communications teams together to establish those guidelines. And prepare a crisis response strategy that puts people ahead of machines. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, has a 4-step reputation management framework you can use to get started. That is, map, measure, manage, and govern. You'll also want to think about the wider consequences AI might have for your company and society at large, and how you can use it in an ethical and responsible manner. Figure out where you'll draw the line and what checks and balances you'll need. And in every situation, make sure a human has the final say. In the early days of social media, some marketers dove in headfirst. Others took a more cautious approach, and still others buried their heads in the sand. Meanwhile, brands weren't sure what to do. I think we're in a similar place with generative AI. Which is why now's a good time to figure out how AI fits into your marketing workflow. You can start by mapping out the use cases. Determine who's going to manage the output and how the AI might improve productivity. Are you going to use it as an idea generator, first draft writer, headline or keyword specialist? Maybe you're going to use it for rewriting or editing suggestions, research reports, meeting summaries, or to take a visual concept and bring it to life. Your needs depend on your team size and the type of content you produce, and you'll want to take all of that into account. Next, get a handle on how AI might alter people's roles. Will you have fewer junior writers, but more fact checkers? What skills would a fact checker need? And is someone from your team up to the task? What about prompt engineering? Again, is that a new hire or a job for an existing member of your staff? And most important, who will be responsible for the AI content that's released if anything goes wrong? Then, once you have an outline of your process, brief your team and try it out for a couple of weeks to gather internal feedback. What's working? Where do you need to go back to the drawing board? Were there any uses that you never even thought of? The point is, you want to be flexible and optimize your team's creative output. And when you do implement the new workflow, there's bound to be a learning curve. So build in time to let people adjust. And don't forget to consider how AI systems could affect your company culture and current team. You'll also want to establish a protocol to identify and evaluate the AI tools you may want to use. Start by defining the criteria you're looking for so you can assess features and price. Do you want an enterprise version anyone can use or 1 or 2 subscriptions? Does the AI tool fit into your existing tech stack? And how will a vendor safeguard your data? Put all of that into a spreadsheet so you can compare one vendor with another, and be sure to prioritize what's most important, and always ask to test drive the app so your team can let you know if it's right for their needs. When it comes to generative AI workflow and tools, there's no one size fits all. So be open and listen to your team. There are so many new products being launched that the choices you make today will likely change in the future. And you may need to go back to the drawing board and adapt. Well, the algorithm course is almost over, and now you've got a better sense of generative AI and how it's reshaping digital marketing. I outlined 3 types of AI and what each does, and identified several key concepts to help you get a handle on what's under the AI hood. I gave you tips on how to talk to machines by being direct and specific because, let's face it, AI is not like us. And I described some of the tools and applications currently available and what to expect in the not-so-distant future. I also discussed ethical risks and challenges, and I shared strategies on how to reimagine your workflow in a way that brings out the best in your team. I know AI can feel overwhelming, so stay curious, critical, and open to change. If you have any questions about generative AI in marketing, please follow me on LinkedIn or subscribe to my Digital Marketing Trends newsletter. Thank you for watching the course. And remember, AI might be your helper, but when it comes to creativity, that's where you shine. It's taken